Hi everybody, this is the Baseball High, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, Hunter. Welcome back to Baseball High 2. And hopefully you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So we're going to talk about, again, and this is going to be a major subject for this channel, Francisco Lindor. I was not a proponent of this trade when it happened 4 years ago, because I did not think at the time that he was the best shortstop in the major leagues. At the time, I thought that Corey Seager was the best shortstop, but I thought there were players better than him. I thought Marcus Semien was better than him. I thought that Javi Baez was better than him at the time. Now, obviously, Baez has played terribly with the Tigers, and he did not have a good time here with the Mets. But I talk about Lindor because I was concerned about his longevity here. I was concerned about whether he could handle New York, and the Mets have had a history of bringing in middle infielders from the Cleveland organization, and every single one of them has been a disappointment. And this is actually more than just disappointment. This is a money pit. This is now, in my view, a money pit. We're going to continue to get less return from this investment as fans. I am not his owner. I'm not the owner of the Mets, obviously. I'm a fan of the Mets. I want to see the Mets win. And they're going to get less and less out of him. Lindor's better days are behind him. He's a losing player. I'll say this again. I said this in other videos. He's a loser. Okay? I don't care how many hits he has in his career. I don't care what he did with the Indians. That's who he played for, was the Indians. Since he's been with the Mets, he's been a losing player. His attitude has been that of a loser. Between the thumbs down, between what happened this weekend on this week was a disaster, where he's bound to the Cleveland crowd for whatever reason, and of course on Saturday he took a pitch right down the middle, did not even get into a crouch, just took the pitch, he had no clue what he was doing, and then after the game he said, well, that's a pitch I'm going to have to live with, because it was a pitch right down the middle and he took it for a third strike. Now, people have been lauding him for his leadership ability. But a big part of leadership, folks, is also not only being able to say all the right things in the clubhouse, but the most important thing, and as being clutch in a big spot. And we have seen over the 4 years, he's been with the Mets 4 seasons now, he has shown the inability to not get a big hit. He did not get a big hit 2 years ago in Atlanta when the Mets were desperate. We're desperate for a big hit in that series against the Braves to finish out the season. The Mets finished in second due to a technicality, a new technicality in baseball. Both teams finished with the same record, and the Mets were not able to win the division. He didn't get a big hit. Everybody didn't get a big hit in that series. But if you're the man in terms of the payroll, you got to get big hits, and he did not do that. Then when the Mets went to postseason for those 3 games against the Padres, he did not get a hit in the last game against, that greaseball Musgrove. And obviously in game 1 he didn't do much. He had a good game 2, but by that point it seemed like all the Mets sort of air came out of the balloon that September. And it continued on into October, and obviously in that 3-game series against the Padres. But really, his attitude, aside from the attitude of, after the Mets traded Scherzer and Verlander and the other veterans last year, I thought his attitude was fine. It was admirable. But you need to do more. Last June, the Mets were struggling to win. When they were struggling to win games last June, and this team was not doing well offensively, and everybody knew that Pete Alonso was nursing a bad rest after he got hit by Charlie Morton. Lindor did absolutely nothing. Every year since he's been with the Mets, has been one slow start after the other, and the excuse is always, well, he's always been a slow starter, blah, blah, blah. This year, it has gone into May. He had a good stretch there in the very end of April, but really, his season has been a disaster. Has been a complete and total disaster. In 51 games, 206 at-bats, 229 plate appearances. He's hitting .209. He's got a .279 on-base percentage. He's got a .369 slugging percentage. His OPS is .648. His OPS plus, which is a fairly new barometer and statistic for Major League Baseball, is 90. 100 is considered average for a player. His is 90, so he's 10% less than the average major leaguer so far. He has been a disaster in the clutch. He does not get big hits. He does not, other than a couple, and I would mention, his defense has been good for the first 3 years of his time here. But this year his defense has been very average to being very sloppy. He's made 2 plays that were really good. The play in Tampa Bay where he threw behind third base to throw the runner out at home was one of the great plays I've ever seen a shortstop make. But aside from that, his defense has been spotty at best this year. I'm very surprised that his wins above replacement has been as high as it is, which is at 1, which means overall his overall play has won 1 game. The Mets need better out of this. But in November, he will be 31 years old. Now, the Mets won a walk-off game against the San Francisco Giants today. But they've been playing so lousy. I can't remember the last time they won a series. They keep losing series after series after series. And I'm starting to think that we're getting to a point now that this team might need a complete total overhaul. Not just a partial one, but a complete total overhaul. And of course, one of the things I'm concerned about, I saw this article in the New York Post, was that how does this affect next year? The fact that they've played so poorly, and in particular, the 3 of the Mets stars on this team, everyday players, have played so poorly. Lindor, McNeil, and Pete Alonso have played so poorly, folks, that it has sunk this team. It has absolutely sunk this entire organization. The play of their 3 stars. And of course, Edwin Diaz not performing this year either. But those 3 in particular have sunk this team in the last 2 years. Pete did nothing last June aside from the injury that he suffered. He missed 10 games. Jeff McNeil has not done anything. And if he's not hitting .330, and he's not spraying the ball around and doing whatever he has to do to get on base and hit, he's pretty much useless. And he has done nothing since he got that big contract. And Lindor says all the right things to the press. He's nice to the fans. But the reality is, it's about winning. If you're not winning with a player, he has to go. And I will stick it to this player because really, quite frankly, after watching him play for the last 4 years, I don't really care for his game. And I don't like the fact that the Mets keep running him out there, batting him first, batting him third. Should be batting in the middle of the lineup, give him less at-bats. Because his at-bats late in the game are absolutely killing this club. You can't win if one of the guys you expect a lot from is killing you. Now, the problem is that he's making a lot of money. And when you sign a guy to this contract, first of all, I was not happy with the Mets signing into this contract without seeing him, how he would react to being in this town. It was at a disadvantage for the club. It was a disadvantage for him. And the class after the 21 season was going to get good with Seager and Simeon and Baez being on the market. And the Mets made a mistake by signing him. He was a major mistake, signing him to a big contract. And now he's going to be 31 years old in the offseason. When does this team get good? If the team is this bad, and it's going to get worse as it goes on, I would think. Unless something turns around, unless the pitching starts to kick in, if Edwin Diaz turns it around, I don't see the returns here getting better. And I certainly don't see Lindor's play improving. Lindor has shown already a decline. Let me go through some of his numbers from when he was with the Indians and now with the Mets. This is just an overall thing. Batting average, Batting average to me says a lot because it also tells me the bat speed too. With the Indians, he hit 285. With the Mets, it's 249. So that's 36 points, 36-point drop in his batting average. Okay. On base percentage, it was 346 with the Indians, and it's now 328 in 3+ years with the Mets. 18-point drop. His slugging percentage with the Guardians was 488. With the New York Mets, it's 438. 50-point drop. Now I know Citi Field's a big ballpark, but it's become very fair. His OPS, which is on base plus slugging, with the Indians it was 833, and now with the New York Mets it's 766. Couple of things. Anything over 700 is considered an average major leaguer. 700 to 720. For an elite player, the slugging percentage and the on-base percentage must total 800 to be an elite player. His slugging and on-base percentage with the Mets is 766, so it's not 800, not even close to it. So you're seeing declining results from this player that since he's been with the Mets, you're seeing less and less and less from him. And now, I don't know if this is a decline. I don't know if it's just a bad mojo going on. Maybe it's a slump. But the defense is starting not to be nearly as crisp. So, and also I don't think between the thumbs down and just his sort of general attitude, I don't think that at this point he should continue to be here with the Mets. And normally I joke about this stuff, but I don't think I don't think losing is funny. And when I see players that are a disaster, I have to call it out. In the 6 years that he was with the Indians, he only struck out 100 times once. Since he's been with the Mets, this is how many times he has struck out. The first year with the Mets in 2021, he struck out 96 times. He missed 37 games that year. 96 times. 2 years ago, 133 times. Last year, 137 times. Right now, he's got 36 strikeouts. He's close to 100 strikeouts. On pace for it. I know strikeouts aren't a big thing. I'm just sort of comparing the increase in the strikeout. So that means he's missing pitches. Why is he missing pitches? Has the bat gotten slower? I don't know how his bat speed was when he was with the Indians. So, now people are going to say, well, you're hating on him for this or that and whatever. I want the Mets to win. I don't think that he can cut it here. He needs to go to a market that has, like I said in live streams, I said in other videos, the perfect place for him to be is with the Dodgers. The Dodgers need a shortstop. They can take the money. The Mets obviously could eat some of this money. They could put Mookie Betts in a position that he's more accustomed to, is better at than shortstop. I think what the Dodgers did to Mookie was very unfair, especially so late in the spring training. I think Lindor would be a perfect fit there. If the Mets eat the money, the Mets could get some good prospects for this player. And he would not have to be the star on this team. Obviously, with Ohtani there, Freddie's there, Will Smith, the catcher's there. He can sort of blend in. Lindor is not the type of player that blends in. He's just not. He's just not good enough a player, in my view, that blends into a team that needs him to be a star. Needs him to be a superstar. He may have been a superstar with Cleveland, but since he's been with the Mets, he is none of those things. That's my opinion. Just based on years of watching games, and this is all the games. And like I said, I only care about one thing, it's the Mets winning. If you're watching this video, you want the Mets to win. If you're watching this video, you know that Lindor cannot do it here. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. I've been very patient, but quite frankly, I want the Mets to move this player out of here. I don't think that they can win with this guy holding down the payroll, holding down this team. The Mets have plenty of middle infielders that they can bring up and play shortstop. That could bring a little bit of energy to this club. Now, obviously, the home runs, the 90 RBIs, they'll have to replace that somewhere. But this is a whole total, it's a big job now. And the fact that Lindor is getting older, quite frankly, the Mets should have won 2 years ago with him as shortstop. If the Mets had won 2 years ago with him as the shortstop, I would not be beginning to beat this drum now. I want this player gone. I hope that they listen. And this is nothing personal. It's not personal, it's business. I just want to see the Mets win. I see reduced play, reduced production. You're starting to see that now with this player. He's just not tough enough for this market. He's not good enough for this market. He's just a very overrated player. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for myself complaining about the fact that he did not give Jeff McNeil a car, it took him over a year to get Jeff McNeil a car, after he promised him to get him a car if he won the batting title. The fact that I had to talk about it, the fact that it was talked on social media, would he have gotten the squirrel that car that he got him? I highly doubt it, because he waited an awful long time to get him his car, and then he finally got it this off season. It takes a week, folks, to get a car. Okay, you can get a car within a week, because then you have to do just a sort of simple credit check and figure out the payments. It takes a week. I've gotten plenty of cars, and it's only taken me a week to get it. And I'm not a ball player. I'm not a baseball player or a major league athlete, obviously. So there's no reason for that to have happened. It shouldn't have taken him over a year to get McNeil a car. And this thing I would also say is the thing about the squirrel and the raccoon, not the squirrel, the raccoon or the possum. It was a very immature reaction to something that happened a few years ago between McNeil and Lindor, to where that didn't need to be discussed. What they should have said after the game was that, look, we had a discussion, we had a disagreement about who was covering. It's no big deal. It's kind of things that happen. I said they made it a bigger deal than it was with this whole nonsense, this complete total bullshit. And I don't want to see dishonesty with players. Okay? I don't know if Lindor was doing this because he felt embarrassed. He didn't want to make it seem that he's a bad guy. He's all Mr. Smiles. I don't care. If you're honest with the media, that means you're honest with us. And I don't care for this immaturity. And I don't care for... I really don't like his game. I don't really like his attitude. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but I just don't care for him as a player. He's a loser, okay? I'll say it again. He's a loser. Francisco Lindor is a loser as a player. And he has to go. I hope that Dave Stearns gets rid of him, trade him, get him out of here. It's as simple as that. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. And of course, I'm doing the best I can, folks, to give you the best Met coverage I can give you. This is not easy. It's easy when they win because everybody's happy and hunky-dory. But to go after a player, it's not something I want to do. But it's necessary. This player cannot stay here. And I'm going to keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it until he's out of here. Because I know it's the right thing to do. It is, in my view, it's the right thing for the Mets to do, is to trade this player and get him out of this market. Well, let me know what you think about that. And, of course, hit the subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you later.